Hi. We are back to Thursdays. I can't believe how fast this year is going. Where are we now? Well, I would have put the date in. What is it? The 21st today. 21st. How? Right. Today's 1 o'clock. We are going to do the daisy quilt. Now, it was a pattern that I wrote for what they called the subscription boxes. Now, I was certain that we'd done this, but we couldn't find a video for it. So as it's going to be a pattern that we're putting on Create and Craft, I thought we would go through it. It's an easy one. I didn't have to think too hard because, as many of you will probably know, I have a little bit of traumatic time in my life at the moment. So it's easier to do something that I don't have to think hard on. Those of you who were watching Sarah last night will know my mum's in hospital, so we're back and forth to the Heath, which at 4 o'clock in the evening, going through schools and people getting home from traffic is a little hairy at times. My sister is still here from New Zealand. She came to look after my mum while we were in Kefalonia, which was beautiful, amazing. So was supposed to go back yesterday, and she's decided to stay until Saturday. So hopefully I'm going to get a day with her tomorrow, and hopefully we'll pick my mother up tomorrow if she behaves. She's had a bit of tachycardia. Her heartbeat's going really fast, and although the ambulance people were very, very, very lovely, we had to wait 8 hours for an ambulance, and I just feel so sorry for them. They're so busy, and they were lovely. In fact, one of them, I could have followed him home, no problem whatsoever. He had eyes to die for. So just don't tell Dave, okay? It's between you and me, all right? And anybody else who'll listen. And he was big enough, he could probably have put me over his shoulder and carried me upstairs, and I was quite happy to have a go and see whether that worked. So hiya, Kate. So we are going to do a daisy quilt. I'm sure there was other things. Have a look on the website. We've had some new Lewis and Irene stuff in. There's one called Poppies, another one called Winter Botanicals, which I should have put in Christmas, I suppose. But I've just put those up on the website, and they are lovely. The poppies are just a beautiful, gentle pink colour. For most of it, it's lovely. I'm not a big floral, me, if it's not a batik or whatever, I'm not always all over it, but this is a beautiful, gentle floral. The Winter Botanics has got like a pearl finish to it, and it's lovely. It's really nice. Go and have a look at them. Even if you don't buy them, just go and have a look at them. Put some website thingy on there. Right, okay, so we are going to do the daisy quilt. Now, I haven't got one to show you because I gave it away. I did one in boutiques and I gave it to my son's girlfriend's mother. So I'm going to show you a picture of what we're making. Okay, so don't burn yourself on the iron. Number 3. Hiya, Karen. How are you? Right, so this is what we're doing. Okay, this is the one we're doing. It's a little. We're just going to do this, and that's the picture of the finished quilt as it was. Okay, it uses 5 fat quarters and a little bit of background. You can see the background bit in here, but the idea of the subscription boxes was to use 5 fat quarters in what we were, it was supposed to be a fat quarter friendly. This is actually jelly roll friendly. You could make this from the jelly roll, I think there might be, so it's 4.5, so you need 1, 2, 3, 4, there'll be 4 fours are 16, 17, 18. No, you probably, oh no, you could make each of these daisies, you could make out of a jelly roll strip, and there's no reason why you've got to stick to 3. You could do it all daisies with a jelly roll and add in the extra bits. So it's a jelly roll friendly one. I actually cut them into strips. I like a jelly roll, but I quite often will cut my own. So one of the new fabrics in, and if you only want to make one, turn it into a project bag. It's going to be big enough for you to turn it into a project bag. It might be an idea. I could do that with the one that I was on about. Right, okay, so I'm using, we've got these in, I think they're going on Create and Craft, not this time, next time. They're all butterflies. There's also a black there with all these bright butterflies on. They're beautiful. I mean, not all of it's going on Create and Craft, so if you wanted to buy it, then I'm sure we could come to some arrangement. So those are the colours that I'm using, and these are what I've prepared. There's some that I prepared earlier. So we are going to put the other half together. Okay, so we have, go back to the beginning set, we're reading this. Remember, I'm just making it up as we go along now. So from your fat quarters, from 3 of them, because I made 3 daisies. Okay, so from 3 of them, you're going to cut, from each of them, you want 4 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares. You want 4 2.5 by 4.5 inch rectangles. Okay, so you want 4 of those and 4 of these. And then you're going to cut a 1 inch strip from a background fabric, because we want 1 inch by 1 inch to alter the corners. Okay, and then you're going to need, for each of them, you're going to need 4 4.5 by 2.5 inch background fabric or a lighter fabric, and you need 4 2.5 by 2.5. Okay, so you want a strip of those, and you're going to cut them off because you need, we have 8 pieces, so you need 16 per 16 1x1s per block. Okay, now you could do these blocks and do all of them, you know, lots and lots and lots and lots of them instead of just the 3. And 5 fat quarters will make you a lap quilt. Okay, so what are we doing first? We are going to alter the corners to give us a chamfered bit on there. Okay, so I tried to do it so that I didn't have too many pieces that I had to put together for you. So we are going to put these corners on here like this. Now if you're like me and find that you're really rubbish at, when I fold back, if I sew directly on that line, when I fold it back, it doesn't fit for me. Okay, this is just something that I found. So I actually line up and sew just slightly towards the corner, slightly the other side of my diagonal line, and that way when I fold it back, you can see here I've done that, when I fold it back it's just slightly bigger. And I know with this it won't matter because no flower is perfectly symmetrical. You know, really your cutting and your sewing should be spot on, but we all know our own foibles. Okay, so we're going to go to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew those 2 on. So there you go. Right, now, where are we? Number 4. Right, it won't matter for now. We're going to line that up, and I'm going to put this, goes down, doesn't it? Yeah. Right, can you see? We're going to sew on that line there, or just to the side of the line. Okay. That was a lot more to the sides than I was hoping, but it will cover that there. As long as it covers your corner so that you end up with the same size block, I don't think it really matters. You could put in bigger pieces, you know, bigger white background pieces if you wanted to. There we go. Okay, so that one's even bigger. Certainly not going to be symmetrical. So, right. So we're going over to here. 3. Over here. And we are going to iron these. Look, I remembered that. Right, so are we where you can see me? Yeah, there we go. So we're just going to iron those out like that. Like I say, I know my sewing is not brilliant, and we're going to iron those ones out. So you're going to, on the 2.5 by 4.5, you're putting them on one end, both on one end. On your 2.5 inch squares, you're putting them diagonally, okay? Because it's square, it won't matter which ones you do as long as they're opposites. Okay, so I've ironed those out like that. I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm going to cut the corner off like that. Okay, on all of these like that. So, any questions so far? Hiya, Susan, how are you? And Marion. Oh, I'm hoping my mother recovers well as well. She was due to come out yesterday. She was all packed, ready. Claire had gone to go and pick her up, and her heart started again. So so by the time I got there, she was attached to all sorts of machines. So we're hoping that she'll be good today. Right, on a little ruler. We're just going to straighten all this up. And you know the drill. So it's going to be a 2.5 inch square. So I'm just lining all of that up. There's my 2.5. There's the 2.5. All right, okay. Like that. And we're just going to trim off. It's not quite 2.5 there. Oh, it is. If I stand over it, it is. Right, so we're just going to trim off these little bits here. Now, it might not seem a lot, but it makes a lot of difference when you're sewing them together. So we're lining all that up like that and just trimming your corners off. Now, if you're a perfect sewer, like I know some of you are, you shouldn't have to trim very much off. But you can see I'm a little bit of a crooked. But I know my foibles. This is the thing. I know that that is what's going to happen to mine. So I make reparations, is that the right word? I make allowances for the fact that I'm a sloppy sloppy cutting sewer. So we're gonna do this like that. See, the only reason that you know that I'm like this is because I tell you, if I just sewed things and showed you them finished, you would have no clue where I go with all this. Right, okay, so those are now trimmed down to their original sizes again. Okay, so we are building a daisy. So I have done this. I had your middle piece in a different colour. It's also a 2.5 by 2.5 inch square. Okay, and I've sewn 2 of my altered rectangles to the top and the bottom of my square, and that's going to sit in the middle. All right, now I've already sewn 1/2 of my daisy together, and that is going to go on that side. Now I need to mirror that on this side, so I know that that one needs to go there like that, and then this one needs to sit with my whites against there. It's all explained in the pattern, but you can see now that I'm making a daisy, and then that one is going to go in there. All right, like that, and you can see the daisy. So we need to make sure that I can get to a square, so I'm going to sew my background squares 2.5 by 2.5 to my short squares here, and then we're going to put in a long piece like that, okay, which will give us the square. So we're going to start by sewing these two together. All right, so I want to make sure that I don't turn them as I go. I had to unpick yesterday because I turned it as I went to the machine and ended up sewing it on the wrong way, and it wouldn't work. Right, so I'm going back over to the machine. There we go. Yeah, it's Susan, I tend to make things bigger and trimmed down. Sarah's Drunkard's Path is really good for me. Now I don't know where her 1/4 inch is, so if we take this and that, what I can do is, right, remind me I turned it round. I'm gonna mark the 1/4 inch so that I can sew on that line, okay, like that. Yep. Turn that round. So I'm marking in the 1/4 inch onto here because I've got a 1/4 inch foot, which really is not a bad idea. Right, so I've got to line that up with the needle. Ooh, look at that. It's all there. So yeah, I'm a great advocate for sewing something and then trimming it down. The Drunkard's Path one, you sew it together and you cut quite a bit off, but it means that you can line it up to where you need it, and you get perfect curves then. It's lovely. Right, okay, so we're back here. Let's move that bit over there because we know that that's working. We want that. So we're going to cut this, and I'm going to iron them out. So that's the bottom piece and that's the top piece. So I know that these here have been ironed outwards, so I need to iron, no, it's this one, ignore me. I'm going to iron towards the dark side. Like that. There. So ironing to the dark side. And we're now going to straighten that up. Like this. And we're just going to make sure that we've got a straight piece. As you can see, it's just a mini little bit coming off. There we go. How straight are we on this one? Oh, look at that. That one worked. Yeah. Right, so we are now matching up with that one. So you want, that one is at the bottom and that one is at the top. Okay, so we are now going to sew our white pieces onto there. So let's draw my 1/4 inch before we get there. Like that. 1/4 inch on there. Now, this is always something that you can do if you find yourself without your 1/4 inch foot. So we're gonna, I need that one to sew onto the top of that one, and this one I need this to sew onto the bottom like that. Okay, so we're going back over here. Where are we? Number 4. The fabric with the butterflies is beautiful. It's part of the Japanese selection. You should see the one with the bunnies. I actually made a dress many years ago with, we've got bunnies in a maroony colour, and I made it in the same fabric but navy, and since I made it I've put on weight and can't get into it, but it fits my sister lovely and it gives me such a thrill. Every time I see her wearing it, it gives me such a thrill. So we've followed the line. The size of the block is going to be 10.5, you think? Yeah, it's about 10.5 inch block. I think we would bring it down to, Karen. So it's not bad, you know, if you're going to make a project bag from it, then I would put a border around it. If you're going to make a quilt, I don't know whether I put down what size the quilt was. Of course, I've given it away, so I can't work it out. Right, so that is my top piece. Oh, wrong one. That's my top piece there. Does that still show? No. Let's bring that down. Let's see that. Okay, so I've put my top piece in there. And this one. I'm not sure whether it's me or the dog that's molting. Okay, so I'm going to put that one in there like that, and that one goes in the bottom. So you can see I've mirrored the squares, and you can see that they're perfectly symmetrical. Okay, so now we need to put this one in. So this, I need to put my 1/4 inch on either side of this. And like that. So like I say, with your 2.5-inch strips, so this would be an ideal jelly roll pattern as well. So we want it there, so if we fold that one up that way, like that. Look back over here to this one. So Sarah's all fenced in quilt is looking pretty awesome. I'm loving those colours of the liberties that she's used. I do like the blues they use in Liberty. Okay, that's that one. And then we want to put the other piece on there. Put that on, turn it over so I can see the line that I've drawn. And putting that in there. Go. So where are we? Back to 3. So I'm going to, because I'm putting that on there and I've ironed those out, I'm going to iron towards the middle. Okay, so I'm going to iron both seams in towards the longer petal, like that. Okay. And we're going to make sure that this edge now is straight. Oh, that's not 3 bad. Oh, I am on the right one, aren't I? There we go. Just a little widdly bit off. So now we are going to sew all of these now together. Okay. So it'll be easier if I put all the edges on here. Okay, line that up, top and bottom. And I'm putting it in, if you only just joined us, I'm drawing in my 1/4 inch because Sarah's machine, she has a guide which is attached to the machine and it's just flopping around today, so I've no idea where 1/4 inch it is. There we go. So we're going to now sew this on either side of these. I mean, there's a butterfly there almost, but no, there isn't. Oh, there is if you go. But anyway, there we go. Right. 4. So we're just going to sew this together and then this one is done. I'll show you what I did with the stripes as well so that you can see how I did around the daisies. I quite like the idea of making a whole quilt with this. Right, I should have said marry up your points in the middle. I've merrily gone on to just put it together. And just console yourself with the fact that petals and flowers are very much not symmetrical. If anybody says anything, just tell them it's a wonky flower, like wonky veg. There's beauty in the wonky. Okay, that's one side. Now we're going to put the other side on, make sure it's the right way. So you want to marry up your points in the middle. So you're going to click them into position, because I've ironed my central panel, I've ironed my middle piece out, and I've ironed my side pieces in, so they will click together like Lego. And I want to do it that way because I've got a line on that side. Okay, so we're clicking our bits in. Of course, you can use pins. So we're going along here. So we've had a lady in the shop this morning who is going on a retreat this weekend. In fact, we've had two. They're going on different retreats. And they sound awesome. I really would love to go and do somebody else's retreat where I'm a partaker. And the one retreat is our Ling Kwai is taking the machine embroidery one. I really would love to do that. That would be very cool indeed, to go and do a machine embroidery retreat. Somebody to show me how to use my embroidery machine to its fullest capacity would be awesome, because that machine is cleverer than I am. And I haven't had a go on my overlocker yet, apart from playing, just giving it a little go. I need time to sit and do that as well. But I've got some time coming off in November, I think. So if I don't get to it before, that's going to be a plan. So there we have a daisy. Okay. So, and I didn't have to use my unpicker once, she says. So there's the daisy. It's a simplified daisy. I'm sure there are more difficult ones out there that you could have a play with. If you wanted to have a bit of green in here, you could alter this block and put in, you'd have to have like a square for it to stick out, I suppose. Yeah. But there's your altered daisy, your altered blocks to make a daisy. Now with these, I sewed 5 strips together, my 5 colours. I'm using fat quarters, so I cut strips the same size off the fat quarters. And then what I'm going to do is, the next time I do a strip set, I'll reverse the order. I'll put them in a different order, so that when you're sewing them together, they're not always in the same order. You'll get it so that they'll sit. These ones you can turn upside down, and then the next one you'll get, it might sit like that, so your colours would balance. Okay, so these are the 10.5 that way, and they're 4.5. You're going to cut 4.5 inch strips off your length. Okay, and then these, you trim this one now down to 10.5, and you're going to just place them. You're going to decide where these sit, and if we go back to the map, what I did on either side, I have 3 strips going across to the left of one daisy, and then 2 strips set there. This one, no, and a 3 strip there, so that one's sitting in the centre. This one's got 4 on one side and 2 on the other. and this one's got 2 on one side and 4 on the other. So you can move them around as much as you like. If you have more fabric, there's no reason why these have to be touching. You could have them dotted around, but because this strip set is the same size as your block, once it's all trimmed down, you know that they're going to fit. I mean, you could even have it going the other way. There is no limit to what you can do with a jelly roll type strips. Okay, so that's it. That's the daisy quilt. If you haven't done it from your subscription box, what are you waiting for? Get on with it. So that's it. And like I say, I can now put, if I where are we, 3, if I was to put this on here like that and do another one on the other side, there's no reason why I can't then put, how many would I need? I'd need 2 lots going across that way at 4.5, so 10.5, so 10, 4, 14, 18. I'm going to get an 18-inch just by adding strips all the way round, and you get a big one of them or a cushion. There's no reason why it all has to be in a quilt. Just give it a go, and make that. You can make those into table mats. If you were to put, oh, it's limited. It's not limited. It's only limited by your own imagination. There you go. There's a table mat. Okay, and you can have a bit like that. Put your knife and fork in, just like that. Not like that, like that. There you go. You'll put a knife and fork in there. Oh, all of these ideas that are free to our subscribers. Thank you very much. I think that it is a cool thing. It's always lovely to put stuff together. Right, I'm just going back over your things. The sewing machine that we use here is the Benina B570. Now I've got what have I got? I've got the Brother MVQ2 VQ, I can't remember now, but there are settings there that you can make it go up and down. A lot of the newer machines, you can make it so that when you stop, it lifts, which is brilliant for when you're going around corners and everything. You haven't got to keep lifting. The nice thing about Sarah's that I'm not quite used to at the moment is you don't need to put the foot down. With mine, you have to physically put the foot down, pressing a button or by your switch. With this one, you just put your foot on the pedal and it goes. So that one's quite good. Yeah, I hope my mum's okay, Natalie. Thank you very much. It's your sneaky watch. No, we won't tell anybody. That's all right, Patricia. You can be as late as you like because you can find us almost anywhere. You just have to catch up with us. So your Dukey lifts its foot when sewing. Yeah, it's just the things that you can do with sewing machines these days are amazing. Instructions. Yeah, there's it's Daisy Quilt. There'll be there's a pattern there. It should be on the website. I'm sure we put it on there after the subscription box. So there you go. Have a go. If not, just rewind me. Write it all down. 2.5-inch strips. Cut them as you like. Okay, like that. And 1-inch altered blocks. There's no reason why you can't make those bigger as well if you wanted a different shaped if you wanted a point, if you do a 2-inch and cross them, you'd get quite a pointed, it'd be more of a dahlia. Dahlia. Right, I'm going, I'm wittering. I will see you next week. It's all back to normal now, really, isn't it? Everybody's back to school, holidays are over. So yeah, so I'll see you next week. Ta-da for now. Thanks, Marilyn.